Welcome to Indie Depth, the show where we go in depth with independent filmmakers. With me today, I have Elijah St. Amant. He is an indie filmmaker from. Are you from New Jersey?
No, not initially. I moved out here from New York. I've lived in Philly, New York, San Diego, all over the place. But I've been here for the past 4 years, and I love it. It's definitely become the new home
All
for
right.
sure.
Now located in New Jersey. Elijah's new film, Turpentine, has just won Best First Time Director at two different festivals, as well as Best Sound Design and Best Production. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's been a fun ride. The last 2 years have been very very interesting, but it was so much fun to put that film together. I mean, it from the start. I actually we built like this crew locally. Just we wanted to keep within the area. Right now I'm in Lambertville, New Jersey. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's very artist centric. It's a great area for there's tons of galleries. There's not a lot of film work in the area, but it's been exciting to sort of bring that to the local artist guild. It's been
Sure.
fun.
I'm sure it's very inspiring being in an area where there's so much art and culture going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very motivational to be surrounded by other people, other creatives that want to pursue the same thing you do, which is living off of your art. Having just the ability to wake up and be excited about the work that you're doing.
For sure, yeah, and I always find it great to, especially if you're in one discipline, say filmmaking. If all you do is watch films, you can bring a certain amount of something new to it. But if you're immersed by paintings, by photography, by music, you've got a broader palette to work from.
Absolutely. I mean, that's it. It's film is as much as it is visual. It's encompassed by the culture surrounding it. Yeah, I mean, music is such an important part of film. Not even just music, just the sound design in general. It was funny because when we created Turpentine, we had three different cuts initially, and one of them, the initial edit, just it fit the script that we had. It fit everything, the preconceived notions we put on it, but it just didn't hit the way that we wanted it to. So, and I know the famous saying, there's one film in script writing, there's another film in shooting, and there's a third in editing. We had like 10 different films. And part of it was sad because I fell in love with certain scenes that I really wanted to see make the film. But when we dove into scoring the film, that's really when it started to take shape. I brought in this wonderful cellist, Dan Castle, and we sort of just sat there for, I had him play 10 different just solos based on, he's a wonderful cellist. So, I mean, I could sort of just bark at him like, I need something to feel sad, like solo for 10 minutes and feel sad. But we tried to bring as much tense energy into the film as possible. And the cello absolutely brought it there. This last edit it was a completely different story than what was set out to be. Obviously, there was still certain key elements that we needed to be a part of the film. The story that we wanted to tell is still there, but we were able to do it in a way that initially, just wasn't planned on, and it came out perfectly after he set that mood. And then I, just did as much. I just had him line out these several different tracks that were 5 to 10 minutes each, and then go in and cut little parts, and then pieced it together over the next. It just funny. It was like 3 weeks that the film took a completely different turn. In that 3 weeks, it's changed it entirely.
Yeah, audio. I've always kind of maintained that audio is the other 50%. Some people in audio say it's more. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a tremendous amount of work on both the video and audio ends. So I like to just say 50-50.
absolutely, absolutely. I also think it's dependent on who's creating it. It could be some films aren't as reliant on audio, and I'm sure I was actually thinking of talking about this the other week, that if I wanted to go back and create this film for somebody who was hard of hearing, I don't know if that last final cut would work to the same degree that it does. It's funny though, if you strip the audio on this particular short film, it doesn't work the same way. It's a huge part of it. And again, that's because of my music background. I wanted to create something that was relying on the audio track to drive it. But I think, because I mean, there's in the cello itself or in any instrument, you can do answers and calls with the instrument. And that this, if you pay attention to the audio track in this, pretty much some of the, like even the dialogue that I have the actors do, the cello matches up exactly with when they're speaking. It's like a story driven by that. And it's
Okay.
just crazy how different it is when you take that out.
Okay. And now I had spoken with another filmmaker, Alan Sconza Jr., about the writing process when keeping audio in mind. He also writes music, and he says when he's coming up with an idea, he doesn't just see the picture, but he hears the soundtrack a little bit. Do you account for a score early on in the process?
Yes, but at the same time, for my process specifically, I leave enough room for creative decisions after, just to see how things go. I mean, the biggest thing about this production was that we needed to be willing to adapt and to not have that ego of like, no, I need this to exactly be. We actually had somebody involved earlier on in the process that his process was so different that we just, we amicably parted ways, but and respectfully, like we're good friends still. But it was just like he needs to go by the book on what he's doing, what he's planned out, and I completely respect that. But that's something that just for this we knew, like, we're independent. Like we don't have the massive funding that would allow for us to rely perfectly, like how that day will go. I need these actors to, they can come back and we'll shoot it again. We'll shoot it again. We didn't really have that option. This was
Right.
self-funded, so just being able to adapt and change. But yes, absolutely. I think I sort of because I wrote the script. Well, initially we sourced the script from Reddit that we liked. That was like, it was cool, but then as soon as we started getting into pre-production, we realized this wasn't going to be possible, and the writer didn't really account for certain just things that we would have to either rely on much more special effects or other
Sure.
things that we realized wasn't going to be an option. So what we ended up doing is we did we sat all four of us, me, Melinda, Tibbetts, Catherine, and my another partner I was working at the time, Discord. We just sort of hashed out the story, then we ended up scrapping it, keeping the names of the characters and just rewriting the entire thing from scratch. But when we were doing that, if we were paying attention to like, okay, this is the part that I know I want to have, to be tense, and how am I going to encompass that tension, and that incorporates music for me immediately. Also, a huge aspect was lighting. I mean, lighting is everything in films, but it's for this one. There's a lot of weird color lighting. A lot of we didn't want to just use like we didn't have any RE panels at our in our setup, so
Fills and breaks.
yeah, we just sort of got creative with that, and used work lights, colored them, painted them, tried to do a bunch of different creations that ended up being a very blue and red film, which wasn't what was set out for initially, but it ended up working to our advantage, I think.